Alright, so this is where the intro is going to play. I don't know, we'll probably have a... I'll probably take something and make a before clip like I did before.
A before clip? Or a fore clip? A before clip?
A fore clip? No, you have that removed when you're at birth. Okay. Welcome, everybody, back to the Cryptwins. Today, we are talking about cryptids in Alaska. Yes.
Biggest state in the United States, constantly cold, and constantly full of monsters. So,
Yeah,
we're going to go ahead and go over some things. Michael's going to go ahead and talk about something first.
Yep.
And then we'll go on with mine, and we'll talk about some of the other not less than important, but lesser known stories, but like urban legends and stuff as well.
Yeah. So this is what episode 2 was going to be if we knew what the alphabet was.
If we knew it, yeah. We knew alphabetical order.
We knew how to do alphabetical order. All right, so oddly enough, there's so many different kinds of bipedal monsters that are either human-like or human-like and animal-like at the same time. So,
Anthropomorphic?
Anthropomorphers.
Yeah.
So, and what happens is, so in Alaska, in the southeastern part of Alaska, basically right next to British Columbia, there is a little, not a peninsula there, but a little, I guess it's not a peninsula. It's a little section of land right there at the Gulf of Alaska.
I'm going to pull it up real quick so you can see it.
Oh, and what it is it's a little area where the tribe of the Tlingit are, and the Chimshian. So they have a legend called the Otter Man. And what they call it is the Kushtaka, which really translates directly to land otter.
Okay.
So what's cool about it and slightly terrifying about it, it's a shape-shifting cryptid. So kind of like werewolves, they can transform into a beast/man.
Okay.
And but ottermen can change back and forth kind of at any given time, and whenever they're in human form they still have incredibly pointed teeth.
Okay.
So you can tell what they look. You can tell if you're going to be around one. So the area in which I'm talking about is right in here. This section here of Alaska.
Oh yeah, you can.
It's a very narrow. It's a very narrow section here, next to, like I said, British Columbia, right there at the Gulf of Alaska. So, and I believe actually Graham Island is actually where I'm going to be talking about.
Okay.
So, one of the areas that's purported. So, like I said, they are a human form and basically a human and an otter put together. So you got the sleek brown or black fur. They're between 6 and 8 foot tall. So, giant, terrifying monsters. Okay. They have the feet of a man, a long tail,
okay,
and glowing eyes, talons for fingers at the ends of their fingers, so like really long claws. And like I said, a mouth full of razor teeth.
Oh, nice.
So, pretty terrifying to think about. When it's in human form, like I said, it still has sharp teeth. Now, this is actually, oddly enough, and this is still to this day, the Tlingit tribe is still scared or somewhat paranoid of the Otterman.
Okay.
And will actually avoid going into lands that are purported to have them in, or lands they assume or say that are the Ottermans. They will stay away from those lands.
Okay, so it's like it's no joke, like an urban legend that has reverence in a culture. That's kind of interesting.
Because what they do is, so what an Otterman does, and the stories are kind of back and forth. It's a mixed bag of results on what you get. Sometimes they are malevolent, sometimes they're benevolent, sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're evil.
Yeah.
Straight up evil. One of the things they do is they will feign the sounds of like a crying woman or a child drowning in the water.
Oh, wow.
And that'll pull people into wanting to help them out and making sure that they are not going to die. And then the Ottermen take them underwater, drown them, and pull them limb for limb.
Okay.
Or, like a vampire, they make them into Ottermen.
Huh.
However, when you're turned into an Ottoman, kind of like the vampire stories, you lose your soul. You have no soul after you're turned into an Ottoman.
Okay.
Their favorite, with as easy as they're tricked, children are usually the main target of the Ottoman. Usually.
Why?
Easier to trick, easier to capture.
Oh, okay. That's kind of...
Come play with me!
Yeah.
They can also shapeshift to look like family members, too.
And the only way you'd be able to tell is that they'd still have their, like, pointy teeth and stuff like that?
Yep.
Okay, wow.
So the funny part is, they can, and the other thing, too, they reported to turn into family members. And these family members then lure you into areas where the Ottoman basically get you.
Oh, okay.
So this kind of ties into they have a telepathy of some kind because they can tap into your mind's eye and say, "Hey, this is your family member. This is who I can mimic."
Oh, that's creepy.
So now this is the funny thing about that though is with them sometimes being benevolent, they can change themselves into a family member to lure the person away from danger.
Huh.
So there's reports of people like getting lost in the forest and stuff like that and almost dying of like hypothermia. And then the Ottoman makes themselves look like a family member and they lead them to safety.
And these are like actual stories that people have told, saying like
Passed down from generations and generations.
Okay, that's kind of cool then.
Yes.
Especially because, I mean, I get it when they're delirious, you can hallucinate and things of that nature. But I don't think most of the time when you hallucinate, you're not going to get yourself to safety.
Yes.
So that's kind of a cool little story there.
Yeah. So now there aren't a lot of well documented, tracings of this either. But also there is one last thing, just kind of describing the creature as a whole. It does have a weakness.
Okay.
Dogs.
It doesn't like dogs?
Doesn't like dogs. You corner it, it barks so it will be afraid of dogs, and if dogs begin barking at it, it will not be able to hide its true form.
Oh, okay. So like forces it out of its shape shifting.
Yep.
And into what it actually is.
Exactly.
So what is it more? So when it's both man and Otterman, so would the Otterman be its actual form? Mm-hmm. And so it's just trying to.
It's trying to look like a human.
Okay.
That's what it's trying to do.
Do they have any idea why or any lore to reason when the first one started or why it started?
I was trying to find that out. It seems like there are a couple different, what they claim to have, different races of humans that lived up in that area for a very long time.
Yeah, like
the Aldet were another one.
Aldet, yeah, the half wolf, half people.
Yes,
I remember reading about that.
So I don't know if they have like a true origin story of a man bitten by an otter type thing to make them in the Otterman.
It's not Spider-Man.
No, I know. I'm just saying I don't think it exists the same way.
Yeah, okay.
So now there is one documented story of an Otterman in a book called "The Strangest Story Ever Told."
Okay.
It was written. I don't believe it was written in 1900, but the account is from 1900, like the day, like the year of.
Yeah.
Harry Culp and 3 explorers. They went to explore the Patterson Glacier north of Thomas Bay. And that's known as the Bay of Evil. The reason it's called that is because a landslide back in 1775 killed 500 native people.
Oh wow!
And they think Otterman was the cause.
Really?
So it's not a new legend. It's been around for a while.
That's crazy.
Culp was there hunting for quartz. He comes across what he describes an ape, but not ape-like creature.
So, I think what he's trying to say was bipedal and hairy.
Exactly.
It was like
it was like a monkey, but it was like a human, but not a human, and like a monkey, but not a monkey.
Oh, that's creepy.
So he fires his rifle at the creatures, and then he throws the empty rifle after firing his rounds. Which, truth be told, I think I might do the same thing. Just try to be like,
especially if you're terrified.
Yeah,
yeah.
If only he had a high point, that'd probably killed him with him by throwing it.
Can't hit you with the bullets, but I'll hit you with a brick instead.
Pretty much. So after he runs, he's narrowly getting away from these things. In the account, he says he can almost feel their breath on his neck. He can feel the talons getting closer to his back, and he makes it back to camp and leaves on the first boat. He does not stay another day. Smart guy.
Now that's nonfiction. That's like
it's his account.
It's his diary account, basically.
It's his account. Yeah.
Oh, well, I know.
It's one of those things. Just like he's not gonna. If it's his story, it's not like I'm telling a story. He's saying it happened to him.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know if it's put in nonfiction or fiction. So there's a couple things about, like I said, there's a couple things about, and that's just one account. So what happens when when you're finally taken by an Otterman?
Yeah.
So if you're not killed and not eaten, you're taken back to their homeland to be made into an Otterman, where you lose your soul and then you become this monster
Creature.
Yeah, that only eats like raw meat and things of that nature. So, but funny enough, and this is where the benevolent part of it comes in, and I read some other stuff about why they want to attribute a lot of things to the otter. Otters have a very human-like nature. They actually create tools. They're actually pretty nice to each other, but then they also have a darker side that people don't talk about, where they have like lots of relations. They also hurt each other and stuff like that, and hold grudges. It seems like.
I always thought that, I don't know, just from different things I've seen with otters and stuff like that, they do have more of a community aspect than other animals do, which I think is interesting.
Yeah,
And,
it's very weird.
And actually, one of the things that this makes me think of is there used to be giant otters that roamed this part of that part of the world.
Oh yeah, like the giant sloths and stuff.
There's archaeological finds of that type of thing, which is kind of interesting. Which goes into like what we were talking about before we started was what was it that you said, a crazy monster, water monster.
Oh, like the plesiosaur
like a type of old dinosaur or an old something that might exist up there still, because it could be untouched after all this time. Which I know is kind of interesting. I mean, we'll have to look. You have to look further into our past and stuff like that to see if it's even plausible, but it's still interesting.
Well, on that note though, about the Kushtaka, it was or the Ottoman. They say that some reports in like 1909 indicated that people who had drowned, or they thought had drowned and had been turned into Ottoman, have actually came back to help family members out of certain situations.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So like that whole
they make themselves
look like they're family members and lure them out of stuff that's harmful. So oddly enough, too, before the fur traders came to that area, European fur traders, and I don't have the date of when that was. It was back in like the 1700s.
Here, I'll look it up for you.
Prior to them showing up, they were mostly benevolent sightings. But the fur traders, after going after otters, ended up becoming more and more violent. Now, this also could be a tale to keep people from wanting to hunt the otters, or in the opposite effect, it could be told so people want to kill otters more often. Because I see them as monsters.
That's true. And to use their fur and everything like that.
Exactly. So this is another thing about it too, is if you successfully return from being captured.
1741.
1741. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
You're close.
Yeah. So before you can become, like I said, you can become a shaman if you actually survive in an encounter with an Ottoman after they try to take you to their homeland. If you can come back, you can basically almost come back as a shaman.
Really?
Yeah, which is like their medicine man, and they could see visions and things of that nature.
Basically, because you faced something that was so terrible or terrifying, and you came back from it on top.
Yeah,
yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that.
So another main reason people really don't like these things is because of the fact that you don't have your soul anymore. Tlingit people and a lot of the native people in that area believe in a reincarnation of sorts, where you come back as part of the clan, and if you lose your soul, you lose that ability to reincarnate.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very scary thing for them, culturally and religiously, almost at that point.
Do they have like a lifespan of what they think the Ottoman have, or anything like that?
Not that I could find.
Okay.
But I do have a quick story. This is I don't know if it's not it sounds more like a folklore legend that's passed down. But, and I added, they just refer to the men and women. The main guy, they just called him a man, so I gave him the name of Panook, which is a name for that area.
Okay.
So this is a quick story about it. It's called the Kushtaka Captive. And it says, okay, so Panook and 3 kinsmen were in a boat in some stormy weathers. The boat goes over, and then Panook is left alive on a floating piece of material that is broken from the boat. After he's floating along the waters of the Gulf of Alaska, he's approached by 3 men in a canoe, and they offer to help him.
Okay.
So he gets on the boat, thankful to help, and he thinks they're just normal human beings. They end up passing the Queen Charlotte Islands, which is where he was really wanting to go. And then they covered his eyes with kelp so that he would not know where they were going.
Okay.
They took him to the village called the Rainy Village, and it's a secret portion of land that the Kashtuka keep away from the Inglet people there. While he's there, he sees a woman who looks pretty familiar, and then she announces herself as his aunt who had died or drowned. She says that she's been there for too long and can't return. She's now part of the Kashtaka family, basically clan now. She's lost her soul, but she doesn't want the same to happen to her nephew. She's now married to Kashtaka. Don't know how that works. I guess they're not. I guess they're polyamorous.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to sidetrack, but like you were talking about with otters anyways, is that they have a polyamorous type of lifestyle.
That's true.
So that's kind of an interesting spin on that.
Yeah. So, but oddly enough, these Kashtaka, the husbands, now want to help Panook as well because they love his aunt. So what they do is they take him in a canoe near a village called Sitka. At Sitka, they hear a raven call as they're getting close to the water, and they are frightened because they feel like they're going to die. Kashtaka can die if they hear a raven call and are not on land.
Okay, so oh wait, never mind. There's a part of my story that talks about
involves a raven.
It involves a raven.
That's like neat.
That. It's interesting.
Okay, so fearful that they might die, they get out of the boat and then they cover Panook. They take the canoe and they tip it over on top of him while they're on the beach because they don't want the other Kashtaka to come after him.
Yeah.
Or his own clansmen who might
think that now he's one. Yeah.
Yeah. After they tip the canoe and they end up leaving, at a certain point, Panook, he's not fully human and not fully Kashtaka at this point. He's kind of somewhere in the middle now, which is not really good. He sleeps during the day. He's up all night. And at night, he starts howling, shrieking, and villagers hear cries of laughter echoing through the forests, waking them up at night. The council forms in the clan in the village there to capture whatever's making this crazy noise.
And this is his own village that he's at, outside of.
Yeah, it's back to his own village.
Okay.
They set up traps, they set up snares, they set up nets. Nothing works. He's running through everything like they're made out of spider webs.
Okay.
Finally, the council gets with female weavers in the clan and tells them to knit in dog bones into the nets and they use to capture him. Panook runs through a net. Bones fall onto his skin and start to melt into his skin where he can't get out.
Because dogs.
Okay. Not a real reason there why dogs are a thing that frighten Panook so much, or frighten the Kashtaka so much.
Frighten or killed him.
Yeah. Well, dog bones. I know I wrote this down, and I totally skipped over it. Dog bone daggers are your best bet against a Kashtaka. The dog has to die of natural causes, though. You can't kill your dog for its bone, or else it doesn't work.
That's pretty brutal.
Right?
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
I like it when we talk about things like this where you can bring up not only like this is the story, but this is also how this culture says that they're killed, because it kind of brings like more of a physical aspect to it, because you know that these wherever this story was probably talked about and it was actually taken seriously, people actually did this type of stuff probably just to have something on reserve, whether or not they even met anything, whether or not it's true. They still believed it.
Yeah.
And they still held it true.
And there's two other stories that are that I'm not going to go over from the Tinglet tribes that were actually recorded back in like the early 1900s, like 1908, 1880s.
Really?
1890s, excuse me. Yeah, translated and put into a book of Tinglet stories. And a couple of them are about different cryptids that we're talking about.
Oh, okay,
There's one about the monster you're going to go over. And there's two stories about the Kashtaka. So they do, after they capture him, they start to take pity on him. because 3 of his crewmen died, and he did make it back from this terrible event. And he becomes very prolific in fishing, getting halibut and things like that. Probably akin to him being now half otterman, half human. Other fishermen offer him the best part of cooked halibut one day. To this point, he's only been eating raw meat, only eating raw fish. He has strayed away from eating anything cooked. Mm-hmm. He protests and he reluctantly, after seeing how nice they've been and how accepting they've been of him, finally takes the food, and it gets lodged in his throat. He can't swallow the food
Because it's cooked?
because it's cooked. He can't do anything about it, and he dies in front of all of his clansmen.
It had such a good point to that, like a good movement to that story.
Mm-hmm. And now Panook's dead.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. And, oh, man. That's a good story.
Yeah, so like I said, I had to put in the names, and I shorthanded it, but that's actually pulled from that's another story that's been around for a very long time.
Okay.
It's pretty funny. The sources I've pulled from the book that I had pulled it from, and that's, where's my... It's not this one. This is called Tinglet. This is a book called Tinglet Myths and Texts. This was actually written in, like I said, in 1909 or in the early 1900s. It's a very cool book. It goes over quite a few different stories about the Tinglets.
Like some of the things that they held.
It's like the Raven.
The first one
clan.
is the Raven.
Yeah, English version of the Four Brothers. Wolf Chief's son, and then you see here the Land Otter's sister and the Land Otter's son.
Okay.
These are more benevolent, actually, too. Those are more where the, I know the sister one is. I haven't read the Otter's son.
I just want to see if, because they're not close, at least from where they were at.
No, yours isn't in here now I think about it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Unless they have, no, that was,
yeah, this is just it doesn't have it. But there is the book, let's see, and I cheated. I was able to go to Amazon, and you can actually read books almost completely for free on Amazon because they tell you can look inside of it. And then you can just put random page numbers in or something like that, and it pulls up the pages you want to see. And this is where I got the story from. It is called Kushtaka and Witches. Excuse me, no, it's not. It's not called Kushtaka and Witches. That's the section that story is in.
Alute. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to make sure I say
Aloof.
Alute.
So the book that I pulled the stories from is called Tinglet Myths and Legends. And it's from a book called World Folklore. It's a pretty cool book. It has it's a lot easier to read than the other one that I showed.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really cool, it's a really interesting cryptid. I mean, it's somewhere in the line of a Bigfoot, but it's almost...
But it's not.
It's not.
Because
it's still a bipedal creature with fur all over its body, but it has a much richer history, I believe, and is more culturally influenced. It's muted. Not for very long. It was when I was doing the Alute thing.
Alute.
But,
yeah, that's interesting. Especially just because, I don't like the way that they passed down the story, the fact that it's not a Bigfoot. That's interesting to me because it's not going to be the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Not to say there aren't... Bigfoot is the most cited creature in Alaska.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Absolutely.
But
it could be an otterman.
But everywhere we look, I think that's what we're going to see is the top most cited is going to be a Bigfoot. Except for wherever Mothman's at. Wherever Mothman is, I can't remember where.
West Virginia.
Is that West Virginia?
I think it's Virginia or West Virginia.
When we get to that, I hope that one beats out Bigfoot.
Yeah, that one's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Mothman. But yeah, that's really it for mine.
Okay.
Like I said, it's pretty interesting. Like I said, I liked going over that one. I thought it was pretty fun to see exactly what they kind of believed in the different stories they had.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the fact that it has such rich cultural history and the fact that, I mean, like I said, the whole thing, like, yeah, it's about killing the thing, but the fact that they actually have lore about how to kill it and the fact that even making the weapon itself was dictated, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because that means that it's it's rooted somewhere. It's not just like a passing story that happened.
Somebody did it to affect a creature, possibly.
Exactly. Now, it could also just be stories in order to keep children from wandering off. That is true. And there's other stories about when we go into the urban legends after mine, though I'll talk about. There's a couple of them. There's one. It's basically like a mermaid. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up again. But it's basically like a mermaid that lives in the waters. And what
Bad kind of mermaid.
No, it's not. It doesn't have fish leg. It doesn't have fish body. It's a woman.
Fish legs.
Shut up.
Fish legs.
So it's a woman basically that's kind of green and scaly. And
Oh, heck yeah, that's hot.
there's with the native peoples, they have like it's like a backpack for babies basically, where it's like a wrap, and then you shove the baby in the back and you can walk around with them, whatever.
Yeah.
So what the story is that this creature will hum in the water, and what it's doing is it'll hum to get children close to the water, close to the docks.
Oh, nice.
And then the idea is that when you get close to the dock or close to the water, she hums, the kid gets excited, looks down, grabs the baby, puts him into the knapsack, and then takes him to the bottom and raises him as his own. So it's another one of those cool urban legends where it's like, hey, that's what lives out there, so stay away from the water, okay? That's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Do you want to be taken and be raised by a green lady? No,
No.
you don't.
Exactly.
You stay over here.
So my the one I'm gosh dang it, I hate doing that. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So the one I'm going over right now is the Lake Iliamna Lake Monster. I'm sorry, Iliamna Lake Monster.
We'll zoom in some more so I can see it.
Yeah, it's right here.
Also, turn off that stupid no thanks thing.
It's this big lake right here. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but yeah, you can. I can see it. So this lake is the second largest lake in the entire United States after Lake Michigan. It is 77 miles long, 1,000 feet deep at its deepest point.
Whoa.
And approximately 1,200 square miles. So it's the biggest lake in Alaska, second biggest lake in the entire United States, which is pretty interesting. And the reason why we would believe something like the lake monster, or as the Aleut people call it, is the Jig-ik-neck. And then there's also another story about what it possibly could be. I'm going to butcher this, but it's the Guna Kadyet, which is a Tlingit story.
Oh, Tlingit story?
Yeah. So I'm going to go into some of just the research that I pulled up about it. So the most recent sighting was actually in August 2020, seen by a... What was her name? Alexana Salmon. She saw something slightly break the surface. I know. Don't make me that face. What?
Her name's Salmon?
Her last name is Salmon, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. I could pull up the story right now.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But her name
Shouldn't
is
have smiled, but
Alexana Salmon saw something slightly that broke the surface of water, and she said it was like fleshy, like it was fleshy, but it looks like a submarine, basically the way that it kind of like plopped up.
Yeah.
But she only saw it for a moment, and then when she looked at it, she said that it took off towards New Wayland Town. So I'm not sure where she saw it at, because it says that she was going around taking care of tribal business and things of that nature. But she saw it. She said it broke surface water and then bolted. And then there's multiple different stories and sightings where people have said that they either see it break the water, it comes close to the water. Some people say it never breaks the water. Some people say it blows out air or something like that. Some people say they see one or they see multiple. And they're huge.
Well, see, it makes sense that there's multiple.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, there
which
can't
I do believe the Loch Ness Monster exists, just because there's been hundreds and hundreds of sightings over thousands, over a couple hundred years.
Exactly.
So, and it's not just as of late where people are like, let's make a tourist attraction.
Yeah,
Who wants to see a monster? And the only reason you can't have a monster that lives for 400 years by itself with no reproductive. You know, lonely and upset he must
then
be.
again, you could talk about the fact that like things like sleeper sharks and the sharks that live like up in the Arctic Circle, they live for a very, very long time, like 120 something years.
Jeez, without a mate though.
Yeah,
Oh,
they can
jeez.
live super long, and all they do is they basically just kind of like that's all they do. They just slowly move because the water's
there's-
cold. Okay,
So if there's anything we can learn from nature, is the slower you move,
the
the longer you live.
Yeah. Okay, so the first sighting that has probably been like more brought up into the Western world, or at least what's been reported mostly for people, is like in actual news and stuff, as opposed to just regular stories or cultural stories. There was a 1945 sighting by a Larry Rust. Larry Rust. He was a U.S. Coast Guard and geo. I can't read my own handwriting.
Don't you love that? Mine's just as bad.
We've got the writing.
Geoecological survey pilot, and he was flying over Lake Iliamna, and he said that it looked to be about 20 feet long, aluminum in color. So, and which, when I get
Silver
into
skin.
what it could possibly be, we'll talk more about that. But the silvery skin is a thing. That's what pops up multiple times.
Yeah.
1963, a biologist said the same thing. It was 20 feet long. It did not surface, and he worked for Alaska Fish and Game. 1967, missionary Chuck Crapshoots. I need to. It's Crapachutes, but that's how it's spelled. Saw it during a flyby while with other people. And he saw it during a flyby, and then he came down and he was going to see if he could catch it. And then he used 5/16 stainless steel fish hooks, like very big, 5/16 steel, and he said that they were straightened out. Like something grabbed it and then straightened the hook.
Whoa.
Like completely.
That's a lot of power.
And then 1977, there was a large animal, 12 to 14 foot, seen by a pilot and 2 passengers. And then the same thing happened basically in 1987, 1988. And funny enough, in 1979, there was a $100,000 reward awarded by the Anchorage Daily News to whoever catches it.
Going to Alaska.
Nobody ever did, but it was only for that year, I think. So.
We'll say we didn't read that part. They owe us anyway.
So, and then I found, after all that, I did find that there was a earlier sighting. The earliest sighting that has been recorded was in 1942 by a Bill Hannersley. He saw multiple creatures. Multiple, about 10 meters in length. So 30 feet.
Shut
You want to
up!
argue about that again? It's about 30 feet.
Wait, 10 meters?
Yes. It's a little over 30 feet.
Okay.
You're an idiot. Okay. So,
Things
the
like
cool
40
thing
feet.
is, there's a lot of different stuff about this. There's a lot
Yeah.
of different
A lot of
people that have
sightings.
seen it, a lot of people that talk about it. And there's actually Bruce Wright. He's a marine ecologist and apex predator specialist. He got kind of obsessed with this idea.
predator.
So he befriended Mark Steiger, he's a retired colonel and former chief aviation officer for the Alaskan National Guard.
Okay.
So in 2017, Steiger was convinced to help him out, and what happened in 2017 to Steiger specifically is that he was on his boat and he had a 38-pound anchor at the bottom, and it moved 50 yards at 100 foot in depth. So
How heavy was it?
38 pounds.
No.
38 pounds, and something moved it 50 yards.
Jeez.
So that's kind of crazy. He said the line was going in an opposite direction. It was tangled. All of his metal snaps were bent. Everything that went to, like,
Hold that in place,
Basically,
yeah.
his anchor was messed up because of something. His gear was fit for plus 10 pound for shark, like 10-foot long shark. It was, and over that, it was made for that. And halibut at over 300 pounds. So something very, very big.
Yeah, I mean, how heavy must this thing be if it's that big?
People have speculated about 1 to 2 tons, things of that nature.
Whoa!
So Bruce and Mark also
Trying to catch a whale.
They developed a underwater camera, and they plan to search again in the summer of 2021.
Ooh!
So they were trying, but they're going to try out some more stuff.
Well, that'll be fun to see.
In 2017, I forgot about this was a sighting I told you that had 9 people, 9 adults with their names. I won't say their names, but can I say their names if it was found on a news article?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a public record. They put it out there for
Okay.
them.
So 9 adults witnessed on June 18th through the 19th. On 18th, they saw a small amount of it, and like only 2 people or 3 people saw it. And then the second day, the rest of them did see it. So it was a split event over the 2 days of 2017, June 18 and through the 19th. They witnessed aluminum-colored creatures about 15 to 30 feet in length, ranging in size. So it's pretty interesting. And the story of the Jigignac goes back into the Aleut people. And then the other story about the... Let me say it again, because I'm going to screw it up. Gunatidiet. This actually had an interesting story that I do want to read about, because it's one of those cultural stories that brought together what they were seeing with this animal. Did your email come through?
Yeah, I opened up all the links already.
No, there was another one I sent to you.
No, I only got one.
Ah, crap. My phone died before it sent out.
How the heck's your phone?
My phone, not my.
It's 11 a.m.
Not my phone, my computer.
Oh.
Story of. Hold on.
Guatemalan.
Yep. Guatemalan. That's
Okay.
what I was going to say.
Gunakadiet. And this one, it was from. Let me see. This is the only place I really found the story at.
Mhm.
But so it's a Tlingit, Haida, and Shimshin animal. They think that they're interrelated and things like that. That again goes into your thing where it talks about humans can transform into animals and animals likewise into humans.
Oh, okay.
Shapeshifters. Nice.
So
This giant creature is supposed to be a shapeshifter?
So what was happened was there was a young man disdained by his mother-in-law. She said that he was lazy. She criticized him for sleeping while others were working. One day, he was walking along the shore and he saw a monstrous being arise from the sea. So he devised a plan to catch the creature, and he was successful. He skinned it, and then he donned the skin and jumped into the ocean. And then he dove under the water and found the home and village of the creature. So basically, he took its place, right?
Yeah.
So he took this monster's place. So he returned home to his own land, and he found it in famine. So he went back, he hid his skin that he was using, and he saw that they were all in famine, so he's like, I can do something about this. He put the skin back on, dove into the sea, and returned to the village with 1 salmon. And they were joyful because he could catch food. And then the next day he went out again, returned with 2. The following day he came back with a seal. The following day he came with a whale. Basically saying that he is getting more monstrous.
Yeah,
he's turning
more
more
powerful.
into it. And so the mother-in-law was convinced that... Back up a bit.
Why?
You're breathing into the mic. Oh, gosh. So... only his wife was aware of who it was or why this monster was bringing food. She knew it was him.
Oh, so the people didn't know it was him. They just saw a monster bringing food.
Yep.
Okay.
So this comes back to, remember the thing talking about the raven? So his story was, he told his wife that if a raven cries in the morning before it returned, that means he died at sea. So in the morning, his wife awoke to find that her husband did not return, and she heard the cry of the raven, rushed to the beach, found the creature dead on the shore. And the villagers learned that it was not the mother-in-law who was responsible for the food, but the creature. So she was taking the
He was bringing the food to her.
and she was taking
She was taking it and saying, "Look what I did."
So the villagers learned it. And
What a loot.
They said that the Gunakadiet's spirit returned to its home in the sea, and his wife could not overcome her grief. Hearing her cries, he returns to bring her to his home in the sea. So he brought her down there with him. Yeah.
So he died, but he didn't die.
He died, but his spirit prevailed.
And he was the monster
Yes.
afterwards.
Yes.
That's like a reincarnation thing.
Yeah, it kind of is. So, go a little bit more about the Chigacanak. That's what the Tlingit called it and things like that. Not the Tlingit. No, the Aleut.
I think the Aleut.
Yeah. So, it's just another story, but it's pervaded in a bunch of different tribes out there that talk about it, which is pretty interesting.
Okay.
Now we can talk about what it could possibly be. And thanks to this guy, Dr. Carl Schuker, this is actually where I got some of my information from that I thought was really interesting about what it could possibly be. And it was just really neat to see. Because Lake Iliamna is home to some of the only freshwater seals that exist in the entire planet. And they're extremely rare and very endangered. I do that all the time, sorry. So, Schuker Nature, he talked about the possibility of what the monsters of the lake could possibly be, whether it be giant sturgeon, which do exist in the lake. Huge sturgeon that gets very big, very large sizes do exist there.
Sturgeon's freshwater?
That's what they were saying. Yeah, sturgeons are freshwater.
Are they?
I think so.
I don't know.
So some people believe that it could be the Megalatoria, which is a long-necked seal.
What?
A long-necked seal. So there was actually, and I have to look more into this, but there was findings that seals basically have a longer neck than we think to begin with, because the way that their skin is shaped and their fat on them, it makes it seem like it's all just like bloop, but actually it has a longer neck.
Yeah.
So that isn't to say that there isn't a type or a mutated version that exists that is a long-necked seal. And if it's a long-necked seal, it could look like a monster because it would have a fat body, a long neck, and it would blow out air out of its head. It would have to surface multiple times.
Well, not out of its head, but out of its mouth.
Well, yeah, that's...
Seals don't.
Yes.
I thought you meant like the top of its head, like a dolphin.
No.
So, that's pretty fun. Well, I mean, that ties into the fact that, like, I heard somewhere yesterday, I heard another podcast I was listening to. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about our own oceans.
Yep.
And I think that goes to say the same thing with our lakes. I think we know even less about our own lakes. Mm-hmm. Especially ones as deep as 1,000 feet.
Yep. So,
I wonder if there's anything
swan-necked
in St. John's.
seals in the pinniped prehistory. They did exist. Long-necked seals did exist.
That sounds so funny to me.
Like, it's interesting, but the idea that it could exist is there.
Well,
the fact that it has existed in the past.
I saw something that I really thought was hilarious to read. It was like, what sounds more probable? And this is about a unicorn. Mm-hmm. A horse with a horn on its head, or a 12-foot tall creature that's checker pattern with the head of a goat, the feet of a horse, and a pattern of a cheetah with a neck longer than 8 feet.
Yeah.
What sounds more believable?
Exactly.
A flippin' horse with a horn on its head sounds more
Or a
believable.
giraffe.
Yeah.
So
Who gives birth to a kid that falls like 5 feet? And
There's
just
actually stories about what
walks.
what a unicorn actually could be, and it was a single-horned rhino. Basically, like, instead of it being at its nose, it was up on its head.
Do you know the story originated from narwhals?
Did it really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, you're way off. I'm sorry.
Well, I thought that was what I'm saying was a real thing, though. That was
Rhinos are always a single horn.
Yeah, but instead of it being on its nose, like coming out here,
coming
it
out
was
of its
on
head?
the top of its head.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like
that's
a
not
big,
it.
burly version of a unicorn.
I mean, that'd be cool to see, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's just a meme I've seen.
No, that was an archaeological find.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's not where the story comes from. It's from narwhals.
Okay.
I didn't mean to burst your bubble.
Okay, so urban legends. These aren't what I wanted to see.
Pass over it really quick.
Shut up. Fine. Yeah, I get it. They're probably
You know, a narwhal's horn isn't really a horn?
Isn't it its tooth?
Yes.
Why are you so obsessed with narwhals?
I did a stupid project about him in high school, remember? That knowledge just stuck with me.
That's so dumb.
Shut up! They're a cool creature with a giant horn, and they use it to fight and stuff. And
Yep. Keep talking. I like this.
you know how bad that would hurt?
To get attacked by a
Flipping narwhal? Yeah.
tooth?
A horn.
A tooth.
Your tooth.
It's a tooth. This isn't what I'm looking for.
You're a towel.
What are you looking for?
Oh, I looked at this guy's page as well.
I'm trying to find
See, when you talked about that
Iliamna lake
I
monster.
thought you were talking about that guy.
No, that's
sworn-
a picture of a sturgeon.
Oh.
Stupid. Yeah, that's a picture of a sturgeon.
Okay.
So this is the one I did want to talk about. This is a interesting one. The Urayuli. They stand about 6 to 10 feet tall. Can I just loop?
Oh, whoa. I didn't know you could do that.
So I didn't either. I didn't think it would work. The Urayuli, they stand 6 to 10 feet tall, and they have arms that reach down to their ankles. The behavior is they just roam around Lake Iliamna, which is kind of funny because that's where the other thing is. They don't really know how it feeds or how it lives. Creature is described as being curious and passive, so benevolent, and it doesn't want to harm people, but it has been blamed for stealing fish from nets. And it was actually cited multiple times in the late 1900s, and it has presence in native mythology.
You know, it's funny though. It's like a Bigfoot creature. No, 1900s is like when the big rise of Bigfoot sightings seemed to happen. That's when skunk ape sightings started to happen a lot more.
True.
I don't remember exactly when the white thing started up too much.
It was around 1900s.
Yeah.
Late 19th century.
Aliens.
Possibly. So, but another thing that I read that he doesn't talk about is what this guy doesn't say about it is people talk about the fact that, not the fact, but an urban legend that the way that these are created is as children that get lost in the forest. And then you become a Uriali.
And you become a Urali?
Yeah.
Dang. A Uritor?
Otterman. Oh, there you go. That's your Kushtaka.
Kushtaka.
Oh, but they believe that they call the South, whatever.
What?
He was saying the same thing about Bigfoot.
Well, yeah. It's Kushtaka translates literally to land otter or otter of the land, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but it is another cryptid that walks. It's a bipedal. Walks on its feet, has a human feet, and half human, half person.
So this is the other urban legend I was talking about. The Qualuplik. It's a creature of Inuit legend that described being human-like, having green skin, long hair, and very long fingernails. And she lives in the sea, hums to entice children, and wears the mautic. It's a parka to hold a child in the back.
A mautic.
Is there a pronunciation thing?
I don't know.
So
She got long fingernails, long hair,
basically, yeah. Parents and elders.
green skin,
Parents
on
and,
fleek.
parents and elders would tell their children if they were disobedient or wander close to shore, she would snatch them up.
That's it's a good story. It's a good way to keep kids from acting up.
Oh yeah, exactly. Alaska Bushman or Tornet. I read that one a little bit. That one's interesting. But basically, it's like people that get lost out into the hunters that get lost into the forest.
I thought the Tornet were another race of people that were living alongside the Inuit.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, it's like
So if they're saying people can get lost in the woods and then become a Tornet?
stories of
I didn't really read into it too much because I didn't want to do too. I wanted to stay. I found a lot of stuff on the Otterman. I wanted to stay on that
That's
one.
true. Yeah. Well, I guess it's not about getting lost. I guess that was the other ones I was talking about. But basically, it's just another race of humans that were up there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They're apparently where the Inuit were good at, hunter gathering, building canoes, and things like that. The Torrent weren't good at that.
yeah, that's what they were talking about.
They were
And
just bad.
Yeah.
at doing human things.
And which is like she said that it was Bigfoot territory in this excerpt that they're talking about. So it could just be another type of Bigfoot.
Big feats.
Yeah. Another thing was the Aldit. Aldlit. I'm saying it backwards. Adlet.
Oh, it is Adlet. We've been saying Aldit.
Yeah. Well, it's a story about Adlet. They are bloodthirsty. And they are basically like a werewolf, where the story goes that the woman that gave birth to this type of people had relations with a wolf.
Yes.
So, but what
read that.
I'm thinking of is that if you go into it and look at it as what if it was a Wendigo or a shapeshifter, and it wasn't, either it started out as a wolf as the Wendigo started, or a human could shapeshift back and forth.
Yeah.
Or wanted to stay with the wolf.
But I read that story throughout a little bit, and I think it's supposed to just be a wolf, because there's at points where it's in wolf form. Like, there's no point in the story where it goes into a man form.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It stays in a wolf form the entire time.
She a freak. That's a little.
That's funny.
Up.
So she could give birth to
She gave birth
a
to
litter,
Yeah.
a large litter, half human and half wolf babies.
Yeah.
Babies.
Bibis. So, let's see. The
Excuse me.
Tizahurk is a large snake-like creature.
Oh, I did see that one. I kind of wanted
Believed
to
to
roam
roam Alaska's waters near the coastlines, having a head that's 7 foot long with a tail and a tail ending in a flipper, for a total of 12 to 15 feet long,
It's like 3 meters.
like 4 to 5.
We're gonna get that nailed down sooner or
No,
later.
I'm not going to. You're gonna get it nailed down.
I know what you're talking about.
Stupid.
I'm intelligent.
Yeah, so that's another kind of interesting water creature. The Keelut, that's one that I actually started to look into because it turns into it's a story of basically like a black dog.
Yeah, I
which
saw that
has-
one too.
Which has revenants in a bunch of different cultures of a weird, just jet black dog with red eyes that is evil.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's everywhere.
Well, there was some people too. I was looking into that one slightly, just like you did. But there's reports that it could also be an extinct form of wolf called a dire wolf.
I've seen
Or a
that as
saber
well.
wolf.
I've seen that as well. Yeah, actually, there's a team. Well, not a team. I just think it's a weird guy that wants to bring dire wolves back. He's trying to breed them. He's
Nice.
trying to selectively breed wolves to bring back a dire wolf, which is kind of interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, but
If that's
it's
possible.
it's kind of cool. I mean,
Put me down on that buyer list.
yeah, right.
They don't have dog restrictions here
Oh yeah, and you're
in this apartment. No, I can have whatever I want.
That's pretty cool.
Gonna get me a Bernese Mountain Dog.
So what is next after Alaska?
Arizona.
Are we sure?
Yes, because Reed sang the song to me.
Thank you, Reed. So Arizona. Ooh, that's Wendigo territory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was gonna say Chewbacca, but that's not right.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. It's that. Yeah, shut up. So
Be
yes,
allowed to talk sometimes.
I'll just cut my mic there. So yeah, next week, Arizona. Hold on, Reed sang me the song, and it's Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas. No, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. It's not Arkansas, is it?
No. I comes before K.
I know. IK. Sorry.
Stupid.
You stupid. Yep. So anyway, we'll take a look at that. We're gonna get a map and slap it up here
Yeah.
at some point. I might even throw it in as a picture while we're talking about it. Like, right, we'll try to put it here
Yeah.
ish.
What, TV or the map?
I'm gonna put a map
Okay.
picture in the video.
Oh,
We're gonna be like in Arizona, which is like over here.
so we're going to point to nothing?
I am pointing to Arizona.
Oh, so you're gonna put a picture here.
You're such an idiot.
I hope you're pointing in the right spot. You're just gonna keep moving the mat back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so
Thanks for stopping by.
thanks for watching. We're gonna be doing this like every Saturday. We're gonna, like I said, next week's got a new episode. Check us out on Spotify. We're on YouTube. I'm gonna try and put us on Pandora. Seems to be free too. I can set us up there.
Cool.
And anywhere, I'm going to try and get it anywhere you can get podcasts, Google, all that fun stuff.
So if you want to hear Michael keep screwing up what meters to feet are and things of that nature, go ahead and search for us on those. It's pretty fun.
If you want to hear more about anthromotors. See you guys in the next one.
Hey, like, share, subscribe, whatever, all that other crazy nonsense. And again, if you don't, I don't care. We're going to keep doing it anyway.
Oh, and Daniel wanted a shout out, so hi, Daniel.
What up, Dan?